Not CBS. Not CBS. Welcome to Generation Movie on Friday, May 2nd, the official beginning of the summer movie going season. And to be honest, Rich, as we begin this summer movie going season, highest of hopes, like, I think there are at least 7 blockbusters in the midst. 7 movies
I would say
that could absolutely crush it. At least 7 or 8 movies that are, and then a couple movies here or there where we don't know, they're variables. Like, we don't know what Weapons is yet, but by August 9th, when it opens, it might be something special. We don't know what the Naked Gun movie is going to do, but I'm hopeful.
I'm very. I mean, if and I guess this is a spoiler for what we're actually going to be doing here in a moment. If Thunderbolts is any indication, I'm looking forward to the rest of this summer. The only thing I'm disappointed about so far with this summer coming up is that mystery Kendrick Lamar Trey Parker movie has been moved, I think, back into October. It was supposed to be in late June or July, somewhere in there.
That's a weird.
This is one of those things where we have a rumored plot line, but no one knows for sure. It's a musical. That's all we know. It's live action. It's not animated.
I mean, but there are guaranteed. Well, there are movies that you and I both know are gonna. If you look, Mission Impossible, you're seeing Mission Impossible early. We're gonna talk about it Monday night. You're gonna see it early. We're gonna have to rearrange our schedule yet again, which is okay.
I apologize for that.
No, you're seeing it early, but there are indications that they're lifting the embargo very early as well, which means they're
lifting the embargo about 10 days before the movie drops. Which,
so they're not worried. They're not worried at all.
No.
So
I'm trying to think the last time I saw an embargo lift that early, and I got to see it before the embargo lifted, was the first Deadpool, maybe?
So these are good signs. Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, so.
You got How to Train Your Dragon, live action How to Train Your Dragon, which is big in our household right now. We went to Epic Universe. Kids are gaga about How to Train Your Dragon. You got Superman. You got July, the July that promises to be spectacular. We got Jurassic Park Rebirth, or Jurassic World Rebirth, I should say, but technically it's Jurassic Park Rebirth. And then we got Superman, we got Fantastic Four, we got, a lot of movies coming out of the pipeline that look like they could all hit in various degrees. So, I pray that after this summer, we won't be talking about the summer movie going experience being terrible. So if you like these reviews, we're going to try to do them earlier. We always try to do them earlier, but if we can't, we're going to do them on opening nights of things late. But I don't think we're going to have to do it for most of the summer because my hobby is kind of going away because our DM is having a baby. Congratulations, Bill and Jesse.
Oh.
So my hobby might end for at least 3 months.
I'm sorry for the rest of the group for the interruption, but congratulations to your DM who I don't know at all, but hey,
he rolled a 27. Everything's good. Everything's
saving throw again.
I don't know if it was saving. I think he was trying. But I'm happy about that. So we might not have to do this late. We might be able to do 6:37. But we wanted to get on and talk about this. We wanted to talk about. I got my little Yelena topper, my little Funko Pop. And here's the thing. Yeah, very nice, super.
Yeah.
We had the popcorn bucket we had was a full stretch red limo.
Oh, nice. Was that AMC?
Yeah, it was only $70. Anyway, that was a no.
AMC, you need to get your butts in northeastern Pennsylvania, like somewhere within the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area, because I don't want to drive an hour to one of your theaters. I would love to drive 20 minutes to one of your theaters.
Fair. But we're going to talk about Thunderbolts tonight. Tonight, the episode is titled the Asterisk episode, as it should be, because I think that's what a lot of people are going to be talking about. So a couple things. We're not going to spoil anything for anybody. It's opening weekend. Everybody should go and have a good time and enjoy the movie and not have anybody spoil it. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to give you basic brushes here or there, exactly what you're getting into. And what I would say to start, Rich, is I said it last night as the movie was ending. It is a return to form, right? It's, with all the stuff, all the baggage that was on Brave New World, being made COVID wise and release wise and all these different things. A lot of hands in the pot. This is very much a return to form where they gave a young director a shot to make a Marvel movie, and basically they put him with a bunch of pros, a bunch of characters that everybody in various points has either liked or enjoyed or in some way attaches to. So you get the basics. We got Ghost, who is in the Ant-Man movies. We have Yelena, who's in Black Widow, and a couple other things. The Marvels, not the Marvels, but she's been attached to various characters in and around Hawkeye, the show Hawkeye. Red Guardian, again, Black Widow. Bucky, who's kind of Taskmaster. Black Widow also. We got Wyatt Russell, who is the Temu Captain America. And has become John Walker, Fallen America. And then we have Bucky. We have Sebastian Stan, who's coming off of. I heard it last night in an interview. He's coming off of playing Donald Trump, and now he's going back to Bucky. So you have all these different characters, and they're all thrown in the mix.
Slight tangent. His work in The Apprentice, the Donald Trump movie, is fantastic.
Absolutely.
And if you like what he does within the MCU, check out anything else he's done, because he's fantastic in so many other things. But The Apprentice was a really good film.
He told a horrific story on Kimmel the other night that Paul Newman came to see one of his shows and fell asleep. And he was shocked, but he was like, Paul Newman said he was sorry, and then he came back and saw it a second time. But he's really good. And then
imagine you're sitting next to Paul Newman. And he nods off with him. Do you sit there and you nudge him awake, or what do you do at that point?
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't touch Paul Newman. He's a national treasure. Anyway,
okay.
So we're talking about Thunderbolts here. So you and I have talked about this on our show. This person, this character actress, comedic genius, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is kind of the glue of the movie. She kind of holds all the disparate edges together. Her character has been elected the head of the CIA. No Shield, no Avengers. She's got her hands in too many things, like a lot of stuff. And
a lot of dirty operations.
Yeah, she's a bad person.
As one would expect of the CIA.
She's always, as one would expect from the character that derived from the comic books. Is it Lady Hydra? What is it? Madam Hydra, right?
Madam Hydra. Yeah.
So she's not a great person, but she's the glue that kind of holds the movie together. She is the touchstone to all these characters. And what I would say is a few things. First, these are all lovable characters. They're all characters that you will grow attached to in some way, which is what makes it a traditional Marvel. I think we've gotten away from it as they've gotten bigger, louder, and stronger during the multiverse things, where people have been able to kind of get away from, well, I don't love that character, but I'm going to go see the movie because I'm a Marvel fan. There is not a lot of characters in this movie that you don't love. And so what happens is kind of organically the bickering and the competition and these anti-heroes that are kind of put together and with the right spark can make a team is the crux of the movie.
Yeah, the movie asks a very interesting question, I think. What happens when you force a bunch of loners to have to work in a group?
It's a great, also not only loners, but homicidal loners, because
I would even say more emotionally damaged. I mean, they're not all homicidal. They've all killed, definitely. But
they're dented.
killing doesn't drive them. In fact, they're all very damaged from
Well,
you know, a lot of the
lost the
lives that
taste.
they had been forced to take.
Right? They lost the taste. The idea that at some point their lives were cool and they enjoyed doing the work, and then all of a sudden it's not cool and it's not fun anymore, and it's just work. And we've all been there. Every
Oh boy.
audience member has been in a place where you go to work every day and you come out of work every day and then you go back to work every day, and it gets monotonous. It gets like, what am I doing? Why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
How can I make it better for me? I need a change. I need something. And it turns out, the side crux of this movie is that mental health and loneliness occur in the MCU, and
depression. I mean,
depression,
I
and
I am not a clinical psychologist or therapist, but I would say Elaine is very much in the grips of some sort of depression with her life at that moment.
I don't know that there's a character in the movie that isn't, except maybe Red Guardian, because he just doesn't. He doesn't think about.
I think a lot of that bravado is hiding his own particular problems
they're all damaged. They're all.
And I do want to say, and this is probably as close to a spoiler as we'll get, that the themes of these characters struggling with their emotional baggage, their mental well-being and everything. It usually, when we see a character like this, that gets resolved just in time for the big third act, right before the big third act punch 'em ups. Here though, the third act. Resolution of those themes are very important to the finale. And I really like that a lot. I think it's the smartest thing. I think it's the smartest thing we've seen for an ending of a Marvel movie since the first Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's a real interesting take that the first hour and 40 minutes is all the what you're expecting from a Marvel movie. Big action sequences, funny quips, everything else. But by the end, you're on a trek with these people, and you're following them down the path, and God damn if you don't, by the end of this movie, if you're not rooting for them to find their way and get out of where they're at, I don't know what you want, and I don't know for friends. Like I don't know for friends, and I don't know if you know what you want, and I don't know how you can be rooting for these people. Also, it happens that these are characters. The interesting thing is, I've seen things, read places. Oh, they're just a bunch of characters. It's a dime store Suicide Squad or what. These particular characters were picked for a particular reason because there's something enigmatic about them, and they've jumped off the screen. And you would think sometimes what happens is a character who's a funny side character gets top billing on something, and you go, oh, they exposed all the flaws of the character. But what I want to say is that doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen at all. Because not only are you rooting for these side characters to become main characters, when they do finally become main characters, I haven't heard an audience clap at a Marvel movie in a long time, Rich. I'm glad it's back. We used to do it all the time. We used to enjoy it and not rip it to shreds. And and in maybe some ways we can blame it on the product recently, right? Some of the product recently has not, has overstepped.
It's been fun. It's been good, but it hasn't been inspiring.
Level. It hasn't been level with the rest of the franchise. Mm-hmm. This is a return to form in two ways. One, a lot of good acting moments, a lot of good emotional character arcs, and some people that are superstars outside of the MCU. Florence Pugh is an up-and-coming superstar. Sebastian Stan is an up-and-coming superstar. So they made their name in Marvel movies, but they've done other things since. Mm-hmm. So when they get a shot to go in and kind of up their game, right? It's good. It lifts all boats in the MCU. more stars we have,
Well,
the
they're
better.
giving some good material here, and I think that's key.
Yeah, fantastic material. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is so evil and so wonderful, and just the like, she's the epitome of not only a brazen government cockiness, but also ineptitude and incompetence that is so close to home right now. You could easily see her in a signal chat. And I say that with all due respect, because I don't want her coming after me. But the thing is, you know, I think one of the smartest things about this movie is that they focus on the characters, and the characters, yeah, they're quips, but they're really enlightening moments. There's some really good stuff about how they feel and what their outfits make them feel like, how they function in everyday life is kind of like a funny little, like, you know, I do my job, I go home, I drink, I get the next job, I go to the next job, I do the next job, I go home, I drink. Like, it's unsustainable for human nature. And these are all characters. The interesting thing also is that all these characters are by themselves. They are loners, like you said, and they are forced to work together. And not only do they work together with people, but they're working together with people, talking things out, and figuring people out, having relationships. I don't know if you know this, having relationships are sometimes a good thing. Talking to people and figuring things out and working on opposite sides of things maybe might be a way where we can do something. And I just think that's there's something very cool about it. And we're not going to give any spoilers. We're not going to say what's doing. The only thing I would say is,
I will say this, though.
One more important thing.
There is one other theme here that the movie kind of digs into a little bit that we've seen mentioned before. And that's in the MCU, trying to artificially augment a human. Your results will depend on that person's temperament. Somebody as good as Steve Rogers he'll become good, he'll become strong, and it'll amplify maybe even his innate goodness. Somebody who's flawed, like John Walker, as we saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier, when he got a variation of the super soldier serum, it it kind of amplified his moodiness, his ability to have violent mood swings, similar to obviously the Hulk and Bruce Banner, or the Abomination. And we see that again here. And I'm glad that we kind of went back to this well a little bit, because I always think it's interesting that that's an idea that kind of just pops up every now and then. It speaks to the idea of heroism, which I like.
Right. I you know what I was thinking about watching the movie last night? I was thinking about there is one line, not giving anything away, where there was one line where I think they're dissing John Walker pretty bad, and they're like, I think they call him, like, low rent Captain America or something, and they're like, you got the super serum, and look what happened to you. Steve Rogers got it, and he was great. And it took me back to Captain America: The First Avenger, and the moment at the camp where Steve jumped on the live grenade. That's who he became when he got the serum, right? He was already that beforehand, right? And you have to be that beforehand. The other thing that it touches upon that I don't think we talk about enough is they save the world. We come out of the movie and we're ecstatic that the Chitauri got stopped. We're happy and everything's great. And then we come back in 2 years and we find them struggling, or there's a little bit of trauma. And we don't think anything of it, but it's indicative of our heroes in the world, right?
And Hawkeye was about that kind of trauma too.
Yeah,
the idea that I think that idea kind of disappeared halfway through the show, but it started off that way at least, and I did appreciate that. It
disappeared the moment there was a giant arrow. It was impossible to keep up when we're playing with giant arrows. But what I would say is the idea that these characters in all the adventures we've had through 34 movies, Rich, quite possibly like when we look back on it, when we are older and grayer, I should say, when we are older and grayer, we might look back on this particular franchise as the single greatest continuous franchise in the history of film, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
what we don't take into account, and we haven't seen it recently because it's all been kind of lollipops and candy. The sheer volume of trauma that our characters have gone through, I think we're headed back there. I think this movie is an Ama's boosh, I should say, of what we're about to get with Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
just the beginning of we've played all these cards, all these things have happened. You've stuck with these characters for so long, and now you're going to figure out what happens to these characters when they have nothing to shield them from the amount of trauma they're about to take in.
Sure.
And
How
this
how many MCU movies are there now?
34, I think I was like
30.
counting last
Okay.
night.
Um,
34.
and that's not counting like going. Okay, well, the X-Men are obviously now
No,
grandfathered in, and
that's
we're not doing.
no.
Okay, 30. Because the only other franchise I could think of that ran nearly as long, and I just checked it, it only ran 28 films, feature films. I'm not talking about like two real or silent comedies that became live action comedies like the Our Gang series, but 28, 28 feature length films, and it's comics based. Can you name the franchise?
28 feature films, comic.
Yep.
No, I no. As we approach comic book day, I hate being stumped, but I'm also not above going. I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Give it to
The
me, Rick.
Blondie series.
Blondie and Dagwood. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Arthur Lake, Penny Singleton. That ran for 28 installments. I've seen them all. I watched them all. AMC, when they used to run actual movies, ran them all about 25 years ago. And I remember
That seems
one
angry.
summer recording the whole kit and caboodle.
That seems angry. It will be 35 when we get done with let's see. Okay, here we go. We're gonna run through them really quick. Iron Man, Hulk, Incredible Hulk, I should say. Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America: First Avenger, The Avengers, Phase 1. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Phase 1. Phase 2, Iron Man 3, Thor, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Ant-Man. 6 in Phase 2. So we're at 12. Phase 3,
12.
Captain America: Civil War 1, Doctor Strange 2, Guardians Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame, Spider-Man: Far From Home. That's 11. So that's 12, and 11 is 23. Multiverse Saga Phase 4, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. 2, 4, 6, 7, 30.
Yep.
Ant-Man, Guardians, Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Actually, that's 35. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 35. Okay, and then the next Phase 6 is Fantastic Four, Doomsday, Brand New Day, and Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the interesting thing here is, again, I don't think we've seen enough trauma, and I think I think we're getting primed. Hey Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Aiden
Um,
Joe.
I think we're primed for our heroes to get smoked. Just absolutely housed. I think it's going to happen in July. I think it's going to happen next May. I think we have to be prepared for everybody to kind of get jacked and then maybe come back in Secret Wars, maybe find a way out and find a way through, and we get, whatever we need. But this is a welcome, fun, it's very thoughtful. Like, I was thinking about that last night. We don't talk about Marvel movies sometimes being thoughtful, but the care that is placed in this movie by Jake Schreier is his name. He's a young director. He's made some interesting movies. He made Robot and Frank. He made Paper Towns. He's an interesting young director, and it's become kind of a commonplace for directors to kind of get into the MCU, get the feet wet, maybe find exactly what they're looking for. I think they probably got the best possible guy for this material.
Yeah, and this is a good looking movie too. Let's keep this guy around because he directed the heck out of it. It's a great looking movie. It kind of eschews, it eschews a lot of that flat Marvel style, house style lighting. And then there's a lot of golds and browns and a lot of shadows. There's a great shot right at the beginning, looking down.
I was just going to say this. You stole it. Yeah,
and the long shadows just kind of like are like a little bit of a hint, a little bit of foreshadowing of something we're going to see in the finale.
Yeah, the final, in the big fight. It's a great shot. It's almost reminiscent. Tell me you didn't think this when you saw it. It's reminiscent. It's very reminiscent of a Bond opening theme. Like, it's very reminiscent, like the shadows and everything of it's Yelena fighting down a hallway, right? She's going through fighting the security as she's getting to her target, and it's very reminiscent. It doesn't have music or anything, but it reminded me in how it's shot. It's a shot above her where she's kicking people into the shadows and kicking. It reminded me of a Bond opener, like when they go to the credit sequence of a Bond movie, and I was just like, I really like this movie. I like Florence Pugh. I like Sebastian Stan. David Harbour is the heart and soul of the movie. He's great. He believes, and you start believing because he believes that maybe we can become a team. And everybody like I was surprised by Wyatt Russell because John Walker becomes bearable. Like
he was a bit of a douche in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
He was a douche in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he's a douche for a good portion of this movie. But he becomes very like endearing, and that's the thing. They all become these endearing heroes that you're rooting for. And
but I liked him in the Legendaries Godzilla show on Apple Plus.
Yes, he's got a lot of his daddy. He's got he hasn't gotten the roles yet, but he's got a certain je ne sais quoi, I would say. Wyatt Russell has a certain, I don't know what, but it's there. We're just waiting for him to get the right, like he needs his thing, he needs his Snake Plissken, he needs, like, tell me that wouldn't be, like, if they ever decided to make that stupid idea of a remake of Escape from New York, tell me you don't put the eye patch on him and let him try. Let him, if we're gonna let anybody do it, let him try.
I don't know if he'd want to.
I don't think he would.
I can see the joy of saying, "Hey, Dad, they want to cast us as the same character in two different time periods. That sounds like fun." But I don't know if he would want to say, "Hey, Dad, they want me to recreate one of your roles."
Well, I think the interesting. Well, maybe the time.
I'm surprised no one has not asked him that yet, and turned that into like the news cycle.
And the thing is, his dad's movies are some of the most eminently watchable and iconic films from the 80s. If you ask somebody, you could easily get 3 different answers for what's your favorite Kurt Russell movie. One would be The Thing, one would be Big Trouble in Little China, and one would be Escape from New York. Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Great pop-up spoiler for review, gentlemen. We appreciate it. So the questions I asked in my thing is Marvel back? The answer is yes. It's going to do well. It's going to do very well through May. It has very little competition for the next 2 weeks. Very little competition. Except Sinners. Goddamn Sinners just keeps on cooking at the box office.
And let it cook, baby.
Let it cook. Let it cook.
Great.
I think it should play all the way through January. I'm okay. Let's just play right through the Academy Award nominations. I saw it again yesterday. Here's the thing. I know you watch movies like second or third time, and I know sometimes when we watch a movie a second, third time, you're like, maybe it's not as good as I first thought. Not here.
Yeah, that first blush of like,
woo, that first blush of original, but the second viewing is, I'll give you an example really quick. There's the beginning sequence when they pick up Delroy Lindo and they pass a chain gang, right? And I think you're not really paying attention to what he's saying, and the kid's playing in the back, and Stack is driving the car, but there's a whole great story about him and another guy that made a ton of money one night, and the guy and him were trying to leave town, and he put a lot of money in his drink, and he basically got drunk and missed the train. But his friend didn't. And his friend had all the money from the night before, and he got taken off the train, and he got hung and accused of stealing money from a white man, and they cut off his manhood. And it is a tragic story that I don't think you dawn on early. But the second viewing, I was like sitting there going, how did I miss this? Because I was excited. And sometimes you miss things when you get excited when movies are going so well that you're like, how you're sitting there and you're elbowing yourself. You're like, is this fucking real? Is this happening? Like, is this good? And you kind of just you take yourself out of it for a second, and then you put yourself back in. And I just think it's one of the great American movies. But this movie is great. Marvel's back. No spoilers. 2 cut sequences. There's a cut sequence after the first set of credits, and all the way at the end is the one you have to wait for. That's the big. Also, I put in the thing, what is the asterisk all about? And because this is a spoiler for review, we're not going to tell you. So go see the fucking movie. Tell you. You can't tell you. It's Thunderbolts with an asterisk. It's fantastic. I'm dying to see all the people choking on the Marvel's dead. Oh God, Marvel's dead. And, by Monday, when it grosses like $75, $80 million, $90 million, people are like, oh, that's low. And it's like, shut the fuck up and just fucking enjoy things. And don't, the funny thing about that is we had that happen with Sinners. Like, oh, it's only made it cost $90 million. We're at, 170 million in now. And it's just chugging along, chug. It's grossing like almost $5 million a day at the box office. It's just cruising. Now, it lost all its big screens to Thunderbolts, but there's no reason Sinners can't last till middle of June at most theaters. Maybe the beginning of June. And then it will be released, and it will be an automatic buy. Like, it's too good. And but Thunderbolts. Oh, and we didn't even talk about Louis Pullman because we can't really talk about Louis Pullman.
Yeah.
He's great.
But he's
fantastic.
Good.
Bob is amazing.
He's good.
People will be talking about Bob and a few other things. But Thunderbolts is great. Marvel's back. Again, I think this is the one I was waiting for to see if Marvel was back. Brave New World I liked, and it had a lot of good things in it. But this is the one where Marvel is getting their shit together. And the next one is the one that needs to hit. Right? It needs to be perfect. I think they got the casting. I think they got the 60s thing right. I think everything about it is right. And I think that the thing is finally right. Because he looks fucking great. The trailer before Thunderbolts was great. the new trailer that they've been running is great, and he looks great, and he looks the happy-go-lucky thing who's sad but also raising cars for kids is my thing. That's the thing I want. So just give me what I want, Marvel, and we'll all be happy. I'm looking at you, Marvel. We need this to happen at some point. Like we need this sooner than later. But I'm okay watching X-Men '97 on Disney Plus. Rich, tomorrow is Comic Book Day, one of the biggest days of the year.
Comic Book Day, the best day of the year after the Oscars and the Oscar nominations. So third best day of the year.
Third best day of the year.
Yes.
Tell
No
me
matter
where
if you are watching us live or if you're picking us up in the first 24 hours after this goes up, first 12 or so, get out to your local comic book shop, no matter where that may be. Most places will have some free books available. The special promotional stuff, great to get kids introduced to comics. Most shops will have sales, so go in, buy a couple of trade paperbacks, for a little bit off or what have you.
Catch up on some Fantastic Four or some Superman comics. Because it's gonna be a great
I would say read all Superman. If you can get an early trade of Fantastic Four or stuff out of the John Byrne run or Fantastic Four, some great stuff there. Where will you be
for this Comic Book Day? Where are you going to be tomorrow?
I will be, if you are in northeastern Pennsylvania, swing by Rubber Mallet Comics in West Pittston, across from the Insulacos, right there on Route 11. I will be there all day. I think we open at 10. I have to be there at 8 to help set up the outside tent. But we'll be there till 5. We'll have lots of stuff. I know my boss will have the some sales going on. Swing by, say hi, buy some stuff.
So free Comic Book Day, get some free comics, read some comics, prepare for the rest of the summer. Then if you haven't bought your tickets for Thunderbolts, you should. There's nothing to worry about. Just go, enjoy the characters, enjoy the movie. It's shot well. It's a little bit different, and it's a whole lot of fun. And then it becomes deeper, darker, further, faster, as Carol Danvers would say. Thank you for joining us for the special edition. Again, we're going to be doing this more often. Hopefully, we can do it a little bit earlier. Sorry we did it late, but it's out there, and you'll get to see clips. Thunderbolts, a rather auspicious and great way to start the summer of 2025, which I have high expectations for.
And we'll be back on Monday night for our second installment of our run through the Mission Impossible films, 9:00 Eastern. We're also, we'll also
John Woo. We have a John Woo Mission Impossible movie. Mission Impossible 2.
We'll also talk about some of the news of the day. I might talk a little bit about my little trip out to Turner Classics.
We're definitely going to talk about Rich hanging out with people in LA. But thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see everybody Monday. A Generation movie on Monday. Mission Impossible 2, if you're trying to keep up with us. And then on Tuesday, we'll be back with Loud and Nerdy, Tuesday at 9 p.m. with me and Jerry and Kyle after a nice week off. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry it was so late. We did our best. We'll see everybody on Monday night for Generation movie, Mission Impossible 2. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Stay safe and yay Thunderbolts.
See ya.
Bye.